21st of July. Jig Squad. That guy Skimpy. What's
up,
going on, everybody? Welcome to Jig Squad. I am Mike Murphy. This is Jig Squad Live, as well as the tackle making podcast on audio form. But it's all about the lives here tonight. And we got one of the OGs from the YouTube scene and jig making that everyone knows the name and has seen the videos for. So I am happy to have him here tonight. He is a guy that I work with dual molds. Skimpy, Delano. How do you say your last name, Delano? Filoni? Fanoni.
Yeah.
Mr. That Guy Skimpy. So welcome to Jig Squad Live, brother. How are you, man?
Man, I'm good, Kuda, man. What's up?
Dude, I am totally excited, dude. We got a lot of the regulars are in the house. Michael Bradley, Andrew fishing the 262, Dave Richardson, Chris Hill, Mr. Larry Hadley, Mr. Bucktail himself. Big Sale. Big Sale's new. He's got to be a...
Hey, that's my guy, man. That's my guy.
Sale, what's up, buddy? Welcome to Jig Squad. Colby, Michael Bradley, Trippy, TW360, Anthony, and everyone else popping in the room, guys. You guys know how I feel about y'all. There'll be more come rolling through as we get going. But, I made the comment about one of the OG guys from YouTube, and Skimpy's one of them, man. How you guys have all, if you're a jig maker, you have seen videos of this guy's shed. And here he is. He's awesome, dude. He's been in the game for a long time. And I'm super excited to have him on tonight and just talk about simple jig making. Yeah, not overcomplicated. There's some cool things. Skimpy and I talked the other night. And Skip, how about it, man? We were talking just about some different techniques and like what people think of different things. And dude, we're gonna have David Toll, Westfall, Jeff Hunter. What's happening? Brian Kulzak. What's happening, dudes? All right, Skip. So listen, I'm gonna get this out of the way right off the bat. All right. So the whole thing with Jig Squad when I started this is I started talking about the order, and everyone about it has a different idea. And the motto of Jig Squad is flow, color, and design. And so everyone tries to figure out what's first, what's second, what isn't. Are they the same? Are they different? Those three words. What do you think of those words? What order do you put them in? Flow, color,
design, flow, and then color.
Design, flow, and then color. Okay. Very
That's
well.
Me.
Very well. I mean, and we could psychoanalyze it, which we did many times for many shows, but I'm like, I'm done psychoanalyzing. You guys, here's the thing, guys. If you're in chat tonight, we'll get an idea as we go through this and we start talking. And if you're listening and replay, you'll get a feel for it too. But when you talk to somebody who's a jig maker, and Skimpy, you know this, when you talk to somebody that's a jig maker, you should be able to get a feel for kind of what they like to do, right? Maybe you hear them talk about other things that excite them or other things that are cool and influence them. But at the end of the day, my hope tonight is to definitely get at the foundation of Skimpy and get an idea and have you guys get an idea of what he generally thinks about just jig design and what's necessary, what isn't necessary, what he likes, what he doesn't like. I mean, how many Skip, I'm going to tell you my favorite video. I told you the other night.
Yeah.
My favorite video that you ever put out was the one with the poison tail head making the chatterbait.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Right.
And well, actually, if I remember right, there's actually a few of them on there.
There are a few on there. But do you remember what I was saying? It was specific about that one particular hook. It's like it was a VMC. You remember the number? 52.
You know what? I don't.
I'd have to look it up. But anyway, that was one of the videos that I appreciated Skimpy on the most, and just about modifying how you do things to make your chatterbaits the way you want to make them. And like I said, everyone's got a different way of doing it. But hey, look at Stash is in the house. Aim to Jig. Brian Schmidt, Shane McNair. That's awesome, man. All right, Skip. So listen. So what have you been up to, brother? What have you been making lately? What have you been focusing on? I know you've been doing some work with the bass clubs and kind of helping them out, teaching them some basics. But what have you been making lately?
Man, a lot of jigs. I just had a tournament at in Potholes. So me and my tournament partner made a bunch of flipping jigs and stuff like that. But then I also just did a chatterbait seminar with the Bass Club and a bunch of guys, and we made a bunch of chatterbaits. So that's pretty much lately flipping jigs and chatterbaits. Some plastics, jig trailers, drop shot baits, and everything.
I think some of your boys are rolling through.
Yeah, man.
What's happening? Doc Sucker, Anthony.
Yep.
Welcome, guys.
Those are all my squad, man.
So, all right, Skimp. So, like, I'll tell you. So, like, I'll share some of my stuff as we go. Like, so I know I've been making jigs for 20 plus years, but when I started out making jigs, it was the guys that taught me how to make jigs. I wasn't making skirted jigs when I first started. I was making ball heads and tube jigs, because the guys that had the molds and were teaching me how to pour were fishing on the Great Lakes, the south end of Lake Michigan, outside of Chicago and in Indiana for smallmouth. And then from pouring, then I started learning I met some other people, started learning how to tie skirts. But you were making skirts for a while, right? Tell me how you got into it, though, bro.
How I got into making my own?
Yeah, how did you get into making your own jigs, and what was that process like?
So when I first got into it, man, I'm going to say that, I was always a firm believer of, if you're not losing jigs, you're not fishing it in the right spot.
Sure.
So I got tired of losing jigs, and, when $4 or $5 a piece, and that's how I basically started, wanted to make my own. And then, once you get into it, then you're like, oh, wow, I can make custom. The store I went to, they're all out of this colored jig. So I'm just going to make my own. And that's basically how I started making jigs. That's a long story short.
Over the years, I've enjoyed watching your videos and stuff. And, I kind of stuck in my own little world and the things I wanted to make. And I started making skirted jigs. It was the Poison Tail was like a game changer when it came to, skirted jigs and stuff. We used to, the Poison Tail was really the jig. That was the one where we really started tying up more jigs. And I don't even think we were making as many football jigs back then. It was the Poison Tail was the one that really, and some before that was the Arky had a little bit, but it's just, there's so many different things out there. What's Brian say here? Hold on, let me highlight it, Brian, as I go, because I could get off on tangents. A platform, learning a lot from Jigsquad. Yeah, Brian, it's funny because Skimpy and I were talking about that, and basically we were talking about how sometimes I have people on, right, and there's all these like fantastical things that people will make and pretty extreme stuff, but it's funny because, like I said to Skimpy, I find myself gravitating towards simple. I like all those other things because there's certain times that I like to make stuff or do things, or if I'm going on vacation or a trip. But the thing is, we're only as good as we are to each other and how we treat each other, whether you're new or not. Like Delano, when you're talking about doing stuff with the bass clubs, that's cool stuff. Those guys are kind of like, you're the candy man, bro. You're the candy man. We got to get that on a shirt next to your logo, the Candy Man.
The Candy Man, this guy.
It's funny because somebody asked me the other day, they're like, Murph, you've been making jigs for so long, right? You've got to have just like boxes upon boxes upon boxes of jigs. And I'm like, no, man, I do not. And the reason is because I give them to people. I honestly give them to people. And just, I don't know. It's just what you like to share. I like my friends to be able to have stuff that they like or want. And, you heard me say this before. I don't want to owe anyone anything. I really don't. And that's why I just think that, it keeps us honest. Like when guys message, this too. You probably get messages from people asking questions about different techniques or how to do different things. You got to help people out. You got to be good to them. So there's a lot of great jig designers out there. There's a lot of good small companies out there. There's a lot of good big companies out there, or there were small and became big. But at the end of the day, you know, we're going to talk about that a little about painting in a little bit because I want to have that conversation. But I don't know. What have I been working on, Skip?
Yeah, what have you been working on, man?
I
know we
I'm
were
trying
talking about some of the bucktails and stuff like that, but
yeah. So I want to play around. I want to make some bucktails for some walleye hunts with some friends of mine that won't start until like November when it gets cold, starting to get cold out. So I want to make some bucktails up for that. I want to play around with some finesse footballs. And I also, funny enough, you had made mention of it. It's like, is there an option for using a football head swim jig type of head?
yeah, there is.
And yeah, there is, right? I just want to mess around with that.
I was just telling you offline that one of my buddies does that, man.
Was I not supposed to say that?
No, you can. Shout out to my boy Tim if he's in here.
Tim, if you're in there, you know, funny enough, and I won't say specifics, but there's people for smallmouth in the smallmouth world that will use the football heads for swim language sometimes. Look at Andrew. See, you see Andrew in comments here, Skippy. He says
he's already you're talking his language, man.
Yeah, so he's a Wisconsin boy. That's what happens. They have the best smallmouth fishing around, yet they still love their walleye even more.
I gotta travel like 2.5, 3 hours to catch a walleye, man.
Do you really?
No walleye around. Yeah, there's no walleye around us where I'm at in Lakewood, Tacoma area.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what I want to do. I'll probably hold off on, I'm stocked up on like marabou jigs. I will tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to mess around. I'm going to mess around with tying some things up specifically for the salt. And I don't know what those are even going to be yet. They may just be flies that we'll use on casting eggs that I made for when we go on vacation. So I want my boys to be able to get into some stuff. I'm trying to decide how big I want to go with some things for some surf fishing for rooster fish possibly in Costa Rica next summer. So I don't know, dude. The mind starts going. The friend requests will start coming in when it starts getting cold out.
Definitely.
I don't know, dude. It's just whatever's out there. I do want to play around with some of the new paints. Have you what do you think of some of the new paints? Did you make anything up yet?
Come on, man. The PB&J.
I knew you had that tone in your voice when that's the one you like the best.
On your last video when we were talking to Brennan, I was like, come on, man, start mentioning the PB&J already, man. Because
I remember you saying that. I actually like that sprayed grass. It looks really good.
It's an interesting color, man. And man, CS Coatings, ProTech, Duomos, they're doing so awesome with these colors, man. And what was it, like 2 months ago when they released those other colors? I mean, come on, man. That Alabama craw and
dude.
The deal or the go
time.
Go time. Holy,
that's smoke, a beast color.
That thing is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because there's so many cool colors. I almost reserve those colors for when I want to make like a skirted jig. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
So I won't make them up for just like generic ball heads by themselves. Like ball heads for me, I keep it pretty simple. I either don't paint them and this is if I'm like river fishing and stuff like that. Either I don't paint them or I will paint them black, chartreuse, or green pumpkin.
Okay.
And not that those are my favorite colors, but the thing is they're my favorite colors that when I need to have a little bit of each of those areas and white. And then I would say the next after that would be adding some purple in just to change it up. But if you and I put painted jigs, Skimp, we would have like 20 boxes going with us in the boat. We would have so many colored jigs, like more than I need, so you kind of got to pick and choose, dude.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned before, you give away a bunch of your jigs. What I usually do is when I'm going fishing, I'll pour a bunch of jigs, a bunch of different colors. And then, I give them to my buddies. If I'm going fishing with a buddy, I'll, hand them a bunch. But another thing that I'm really big on is I look for kids around the docks and the launches and stuff. And man, I just load them up with all these jigs and plastics and everything. Cause I'd rather them be on the lake than in the streets, man.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Brown, fishing the Southeast. What's up, buddy? Devo, what's happening, brother? Welcome. Yeah, you know, it's funny, Skimp, because I go through stages, right, with all this stuff where there's a lot of things that I like and I want to do. And basically that kind of all started because of like bucktails and saltwater fishing. But when it comes down to it, like, what do I have time to make? I went on a big pouring spree, and later, you think I would have done it during the winter, but I didn't. I did it in like April and May, ironically enough, getting ready for some, you know, early June trips up the Mille Lacs that we had. And I poured for function, and I don't like pouring for function. I like this winter, my goal is to pour for fun. So I want to make a lot of skirted jigs. I want to play around with some old school color skirt combos. And that's what I love the most, you know. I'll tell you what, I don't have any Arkies left. I need to make some more Arkie skirted jigs. That's what I want to make.
Arkies are always a must-have in the boat. Same thing with those brush jigs. Man, don't sleep on those brush jigs, Scooter.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I hate to say it, but I say I want to make some Arkies, but I think I'm gonna wind up spending more time making swim jigs, because you guys, I'll tell you what, y'all know that I'm with Dual Molds, and y'all know Skimpy's with Dual Molds. But what I'm going to tell you is this: I don't care that those keepers on that new hybrid grass jig are the real deal.
Fact.
They are. It is the best. Minus somebody who wants to do a screw lock, screw it in. I don't need any of that stuff. It's easier to pour. I'll be interested to see how it pours. The mold, they're pretty simple though. So I'm most excited for that jig, to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm going to be able to do multiple things with it. And that's why I kind of like that jig. You like that new hybrid grass jig? Dude, or do you think you're going to like it more than the?
I can't wait to my hands. My only complaint, and I know that Brennan said it might happen in the future. My only complaint is, man, I want it in a quarter.
You want a quarter ounce size?
That new grass hybrid jig in a quarter is going to be a game changer, man.
What's the smallest size on it? Is it 5/16 or 3/8?
I think it's 3/8. But man, that thing is, and it's funny that you mentioned that keeper. I remember in your last video when you were talking with Brennan, you took the bait and you were like, look how much it holds on, and you were pulling it so hard you ripped the bait.
I literally ripped the bait in half.
Yeah.
And Brett, did you hear Brennan's comment?
Yeah.
He never said anything afterward. He made the comment. He goes, "Well, nothing's really going to pull out of that hard."
Yeah. But still, it took forever.
It ripped it in half. Yeah.
Definitely.
You guys, listen, here's the deal. For everyone that orders it, and I'm going to tell you something, Skimp, you guys go on Skimpy's YouTube page, and the link to his YouTube page is available down below, right? And you could also find him on Instagram. Here's his Instagram, That Guy Skimpy. But when you go on his YouTube page, he's got an affiliate link. I have an affiliate link too. And I want to throw this out there because I mention it. I put it in the videos. But I want you guys to go on Skimpy's affiliate link and click on it when you go look at stuff. He's my guest. That's what I'm going to say.
Hey, I appreciate you.
But the deal is, you guys got to understand something. This affiliate link, we're not getting any dollars for this or anything else. They just want to know, are we driving traffic towards them to view things? You don't buy anything from them, don't buy it. You want to buy it from Barlow's, LPO, Ziners, wherever you're going to go, buy it. But I will say this: I don't care if you use Skimpy's link, but when you go and look at it, go look at everything I do with molds, so people know that you're generating some interest. And when you buy it, I don't care where you're at, and I don't care whose affiliate link you use or where you buy it from. Every time you buy something, a mold, I want you to, wherever it's at, I want you to put in the comments section, Jig Squad. Just hashtag Jig Squad. Drop a bomb, tag them up, and let it rip. Somebody, who is it? Andrew's in chat, Fishing the 262. He said, he goes, I just put an order in and I hashtag Jig Squad in the comments.
Yeah.
I go, perfect, dude. Just drop it. Drop the tag wherever you want. I I really like this mold, and it's more. I don't think it does better than a lot of other jigs by itself, but the fact that it does all the things that it does, it's got a flat bottom, a little bit of recessed line tie. It does a little bit of everything, and that's my jam because like I'm used to fishing a ball head. I could do all those things with a ball head, and most guys can't. It doesn't make me better. That makes me a river fisherman that used to fish in the mess a lot, and that's just how I've learned to fish. But I like the fact that I don't have to change up as many jigs. But the hook keeper is lights out. I actually am going to pour some without the weed guard for the salt because the keepers are so good. I want that for the salt for like Z-Man diesel minnows and stuff like that. That thing's going to be killer.
Yeah.
Gramps is saying, what mold we talking about? Talking about the hybrid grass jig.
The new one.
Yeah, Matt, South Jersey, what's up, brother? Yeah, I honestly think if I stick a Z-Man diesel minnow or skimp for when that smaller size mold comes out eventually, it's got to come out in time. I haven't heard. I can't imagine they're not going to in time. But I mean, you get a smaller size Z-Man paddle tail on there that is traditionally harder to keep hooked to a jig. You're not gonna have to glue anything with the Z-Man. Hold on, I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna test that out on some diesel minnows before I say that.
Yeah,
that would be fair. But I just like the mold that much. I like this mold more than the Magnum Midwest Finesse, which I do have in my hands.
Yeah, I have this. I have it as well. I'm actually pretty excited for that one.
And okay, tell me why.
So, I think it might, for the most part, it might kind of replace like the Texas rig or even punching, because I mean, you have your weedless, and then your weight right on top, and it's not super light. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's a Ned rig, but it's a heavy weight, and it also has it's weedless. So I'm pretty excited for it, man. Throw a creature bait on there and just start flipping that dang thing. Are you kidding me, man?
Yeah, that's a great comment. And and maybe I'm saying that too, Skimp, because just because I've had that Magnum in my hand for a little while, right? But I'll tell you what I like it for, the Magnum. Not to rehash this all over again, but I like talking jigs with somebody else might have the mold, which is you.
Yeah.
I've been putting tubes on them to do stupid tubes. And
I remember you mentioning that.
Your comment about a Texas rig, yes, exactly. Man, if I don't have to slide a bullet weight or a piece of tungsten on or something else, and I could put that creature bait on the back of that head, I personally feel it's pretty well balanced. I do. The hook point is raised up a little bit from being in line with the shank. It's perfect. So
hold up, man. I got one poured. Hold on one second.
I just think people have to think outside the box as to what they can actually do with it, because we just haven't done it in the past, right?
I mean, this is a half ounce.
And is that a 4.0 or a 3.0, Skimp?
What sizes were they? Yeah, it's a 4.0. I'm sorry, it's
probably
a
4.
Yeah.
I mean, it is stout.
Yes, sir. I mean, come on. I'm super excited about that. I think that's not the biggest size, is it? No, the 5/8.
So funny enough, Brendan Brown. Oh, look at the size of that thing, dude. But Skimp, hold that closer to the camera. So, you guys, did you hear what I was saying a little bit? So move it over to your left a little bit, Skimp. All right. So the hook point is raised up and not in direct line as it runs to the shank that towards the eyelet. It's actually extended out a little bit, which is going to make that thing awesome. I don't know, dude. You're probably right. I'm probably not giving it as much credit as I probably should. I'm not. I don't want to make it sound like I'm bad mouthing it. I'm not.
No,
It's
no, no,
just
no.
I've already used it a little bit. I'm more excited about you. Listen, when Christmas comes, you got to grab your favorite present, and mine's the grass jig. It doesn't mean I don't like the other presents. Hey, listen to this. So, fishing this out, he said, he goes, "Hey, can you tell the do it peeps? I want the big 10 millimeter HD and attack eyes, please." You know, I would venture to guess, Brendan. I wonder if I don't know this. This is just as a crazy comment by me. I would venture to guess that if they continue to make crank blanks and all that other stuff that they have coming out, I would have to imagine that more of that's going to come out, or bigger sizes.
You would think, you would think. They actually just released a couple new crank blanks.
Have you what are the new ones? Do you have any idea? I didn't look.
I think one almost looked like a Zara Spook, I think. Top water.
They did.
And then there was a couple almost looked like a DT10 type. I don't remember exactly what it was.
And it's gonna have some of
that on your show, man.
I know.
It was on your show.
I know. I have to remember, I have to think back, and some of the honeycombing I know that he said was going to be inside.
That's right. The circuit.
I mean, it's going to be slick. Skimp, if you had to paint a jig up, what's your favorite paint colors for painting jigs up? There's one that I saw you make that changed my mind on a color. I'll tell you about that after you.
What are you talking about? A swim jig, flipping jig? What are you talking about?
If you're making a skirted jig, flipping jig, a skirted flipping jig, what color are you going with?
I got 3 colors that I mostly use for flipping jigs.
Shit, you had an answer right away.
I'm with it.
Freaking on it, dude.
Black and blue, you got to go black and blue. Always got a black and blue one in the boat. Okay. But then sometimes I mess around and make it black and purple, or I make it black, blue, and purple, you know. So I mess with it. But you always got to have a black and blue. Then you got to have your green pumpkin.
GP. And
then some kind of craw, brownish, reddish type. Those 3, any lakes out here, you can do pretty much any lake out here. Those 3 colors will work.
Skip, Matt's asking, have you ever tried using any to design with wood and making your own custom jig head shapes or designs and making your own molds?
I haven't with wood, but I've definitely made silicone, especially for pouring plastics. I've made a bunch of silicone and plaster of Paris molds, and actually the Durham's wood putty. That one I actually made a lead jig mold with it, and it lasted like 10 pours, and I didn't really get that many good pours, and I haven't tried again. But yes, I have tried.
I got you. All right, so you're making black and blue, green pumpkin, and what was the third? Some
kind of brownish, reddish craw type color, some kind of crawdad. Our craws out here are like brownish, reddish. Sometimes a little bit of greenish in them, but yeah, those
there was one color I saw you make one time, and I had not used the color even after all these years. And I don't know how many years back you had this video out, and you were using and you were talking about how the color surprised you. I remember this video. Root beer.
Oh my goodness, are you talking about the color of the head?
Yes.
You know what's funny about that is I had the root beer for so long. And I never used it, and then I poured it, and it matched with, if I remember right, like a brownish type skirt. I think it was like
beautiful. It's a beautiful,
like a PB&J type skirt, if I remember right. And
all I know, awesome. I didn't have. So I always said, I'm like, I don't want root beer. I never was. I was never interested in the browns, and it just. I would have natural brown. I would have that paint color, but I wasn't interested in a lot of the brown tones. It was more the green tones. I always say, you're a brown tone or a green tone person. Everyone could say whatever they want. You gravitate towards one or the other. And I saw you make a jig on one of your videos once. I go, look at that thing, because there's some glitter in there.
Definitely,
it's beautiful. It's a It might be one of the best head colors out there that they've ever made, and I just don't use it. And the first time I saw it and said I got to get that head color is on one of your videos. That's the truth. And
have you been using it, Kuda?
No, of course not. It's no different than half of this stuff that we talk about on this show.
Exactly.
I talk about it. I like it. Once in a while, I'll make something, but I don't do it all the time. You know, That's why all you guys that we get on here are the best at what you do. You know, you're the jack of all trades, you know. And I've always thought that, like, you guys, if you haven't gone to you know, Skimpy's videos, links are available down below. I mean, he's got a video out on almost everything. You want to talk about soft plastics, jig making, mold modifications. He's covered the gambit with the volume of videos he's put out over time. So he's kind of like the journeyman of the jig making scene. And that's why I appreciate him so much, because, like, as an example, I'll tone this respectfully, Skimpy. So our conversation, Skimpy and I are talking the other day, right? And basically we were talking about how, man, all these people we have on the shows, there's some crazy stuff that these guys do, right? And that's not that's not a knock. It's just saying that some of these designers have such a niche and a phenomenal design style as to what they do. It's just inspiring, right? It's like something you see, but it doesn't mean that's the way you're going to tie all the time. And I think the reason you guys know I bring this up all the time. The reason I keep bringing this up is because I don't want anyone that comes on this show and is in chat or watching and listening and thinking that's the way you have to tie all the time. Because you also hear me say how I'll slip down to the river with unpainted jig heads and just be like skipping along, happy as could be, because I'm down there with white and black grubs, maybe some gulp, and I'm just tearing it up, you know. And I just want people to feel good about doing things simply and not overcomplicating things, and just learning about the industry of jig making, of what that means to you. It doesn't have to be what everyone else says it to be. Skimpy and I were also talking. Let's talk about this, Skimp. So I've seen videos out there with people talking about how, like, yeah, you know, like painting out of cups. You know, they're like, it's really not the most effective way to paint. And
I know where you're going with this.
I know. And guys, I'm not knocking anyone, but because people know I've said this countless times. I tell people how I paint. I got to tell you, I have some of the coolest designed fluid beds you can make. I have ones that are threaded. The cups are threaded. The bases are threaded. I screw them on. None of this wiggling to get them off. And I got 20 cups like that. I got 30. I can make another 40 more. I got all the cool kid stuff. And I can use it if I want to get a super thin coating and I'm mass producing, but I don't mass produce anything, right?
Right.
And Skimpy and I were talking. I want to have this conversation. If you're in chat and you do things a little differently, so be it. But I want Skimpy. You tell me about what's your strategy on painting. I've talked about mine many times. I use a cup. Put a toothpick in there, and in between every dip, I stir the toothpick and I aerate the paint. I don't shake it. After every dip, I leave the toothpick in there. When I'm done, I close it up. All my paint has toothpicks in it. But tell me about your style of painting, my man.
I'm doing the exact as you. I dip straight out of the jar here, and the reason I don't use a fluid bed is because I don't do long runs. Now I do have a fluid bed. Matter of fact, he's in the chat right now. My buddy Big Ant. He's the one who made it for me. But you know, I have used it, and if we're doing a long run of, you know, all one color, yeah, I'm going to use the fluid bed. It makes sense. But if I'm only making 2 or 3, I'm not setting up the fluid bed for 2 or 3 jigs. And then I know that you mentioned, you know, you want a light coat, and you can't get that out of a jar. And some people say, you know, the details of the jig don't come out, like if you're using the Ultra or even the Poison Tail that has, you know, all the markings and stuff in it. The thing that I do is, if it has a lot of detail in the jig, I just don't heat it up as hot, so it's a lighter coat. And then when you bake in the oven, it completely covers it and everything, and then all the details come out. So
that is the first time, and that is 100% true. So I hope everyone heard that. That this whole show, that might be the most valuable tip.
Oh wow,
that comes out of this whole show. But Skip, think about it. So yeah. I made the comment, and now I'm going to tell you, we're similar with some things, but not 100% on the same page, right? So I said,
Okay.
I made the comment, like I made the comment the other day, Adam Felder, SDG, the other day. He was showing, he was using some new different powder paints, and he had to dip them because they were too heavy because of the particles that they included in it, whether it be glitter or whatever. It was too heavy to run through a fluid bed. So he had to dip them. And he didn't really like that idea of having to dip them in there because of whatever. And I don't agree with his thinking on that. The reason he had to do it is 100% true and made sense. But I'll say this, I honestly think that he made a very good point in his video, and he talked about when he used a ultra minnow head, which has fine detailed scaling, that he when you don't get as much detailing because when you dip, you get more paint on. And Skimpy and I were talking about this, and Skimpy goes, that's not 100% true, because what Skimpy just said, I can actually control how much paint I get on it by how much I'm heating it up. And that's a great point. And I don't dip like that. I personally in 99, I could see the case of why a fluid bed is going to coat an ultra minnow head for most people better than, but your technique works as well. For me, I tell people I don't want to use the fluid beds because I do not trust that all those containers of paint, which I would leave them in there because I have so many, right? And I have friends that they have all their paint cups just set up and they leave their paint in there. A lot of guys do it that way.
Yeah.
I don't buy that those knockout caps that we all put on the top of them are efficient enough to keep moisture out, and my stuff's in the basement. Well,
right.
I'm not confident enough it's going to keep the moisture out of my paint, and I don't want to learn the hard way. So I just don't do it. What's Debo say? It's just a waterbed, guys. They're using fancy.
Well, there's a couple guys that don't know.
It's actually watercolor. We actually have a new kit coming out by Jigsquad. It's a watercolor jig painting kit. I'm going to have Debo's face on there is the prime creator.
So there's a couple guys on here, Kuda, that don't know what a fluid bed is.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Skippy. So a fluid bed is basically, and we'll kind of talk about the parts here. Basically, it would be I'd say 2 inches is the standard way to go, but you can go 3 inch, a PVC pipe, right? And this is about 2.5. This is 3 inches. This is a 3-inch lid. Okay. And so basically you would be filling paint, pouring this into a cup, and there's a filter, okay, halfway down, and underneath it, there's air introduced with like an aquarium tube that blows into this bottom section of the cup. Okay. And most guys use an aquarium pump. That's what I use. That's what most people use. So a tube comes in, blows into this bottom section. There's a filter on this dividing end, and then the paint is in the cup above. Once that air goes in, it permeates through the filter and introduces air to the powderized paint, creating what appears to almost look like water, as Debo so eloquently said. It seems as if it's liquefying the paint. It introduces the air particles, it separates the particles, and it allows for a much more even and thinner coating. Unless you're trying to use the technique that Skimpy is using. Most guys that paint with a fluid bed do it for 2 reasons. They do it for speed and of use and not having to take caps off and all this other stuff. And they also do it for the thinness of the coating. It uses less paint to coat the head than if I dip. When we dip, we have more paint on than if you dip it in a fluid bed. But this example Skimpy is saying is that you can mitigate for that by lessening the amount of heat of your jig. You'll see things happen with your jig, guys. If you heat your jig for too long and then you go and dip it in the paint and you're slow about it, it comes out looking like cake batter. That means you overheat.
It's all bubbly and melting, and
it looks bad. So what Skimpy's saying about mitigating that a little bit is you heat it a little bit, just enough to warm it up. It's kind of like leftover pizza, right? You heat it up just enough. You dip it in the paint enough where it sticks to it, but it has not melted yet.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And then you could take it. A lot of guys, some guys go put it in a toaster oven right away. I go back and hold it over the heat gun.
I put it in a toaster oven.
Do you really? See, that's the thing.
See my toaster oven right here.
I'll use the toaster oven sometimes, but not always. I'll go back over the heat gun, and I feel that does what I need it to do. Right.
I mean, yeah, sometimes I go over it with the heat gun, but I always bake it. 350 at 20 minutes, man. It makes it hard as a rock.
Yeah. But that's basically the concept of what the fluid bed does. And I mean, I always say that you could really make some expensive ones, and I've made some expensive ones, and you can make some cheap ones. And I'll tell you, the cheap ones work just as well as the expensive ones. And if you don't want to make it, which there are plenty of videos on making them, you could buy them from places like Do It Molds.
Yeah.
I would venture to guess that Barlow's and LPO and all these other places have them. But it's just another tool. All right, so look at, we got some other people mainstream. You got some more of your guys coming in, Skimpy. I like that. What Graham says, is that why you don't cook after? That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways to do it, but I mean, that's good. So Skimpy, about we got to touch on some videos you've put out there. Like I talked about Chatterbaits. Skimpy's got some really good Chatterbait videos out there. How to modify your molds to make spinner baits. That's out there too.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of your most popular videos, Skimpy?
Well, right. My most popular video right now is my buddy Tim. He actually had a GoPro on, and he was fishing, and this lady just starts yelling at him and coming after him with the hose and throwing
stuff. I saw this video.
And throwing stuff in the water and stay away from my dog. That's been blowing up. But
everyone likes a Karen video.
Yeah, definitely. But other than that, man, they all get about the same amount, you know. Sometimes, you know, I'll put out a skirt tab video where it's like, hey, you use these skirt tabs, and then, you know, a lot of people like it. But if it's not that good of a color, it's not going to get that many views.
Yeah, it's true.
But I've been trying to do a lot more airbrushing. I'm trying to get into airbrushing. I mean, they get views, but I mean, I think that's for like specific people are looking for that, you know, not your average bass guys just looking at how to paint, you know.
Are you going to mess around with airbrushing some jig heads?
Matter of fact, I have. So I know that we talked. I'm trying to look for it. I had it here earlier. I know that we talked about, you know, your flow, design, color, and all that.
Sure.
So I have, especially Chatterbaits. I don't know why I can't find it right here. So I have airbrushed jigs and Chatterbaits, but I think this is a largemouth pattern. I think, I don't know if you can see it.
A little bit.
But anyways, I think a lot of when they look that pretty, I think that they're catching more fishermen than they're catching bass.
They are catching more.
I'm just saying, because believe it or not, when I'm fishing like a swim jig and stuff, when all the paint is starting to chip off and everything, that's when I start catching more fish. I like it, paint missing and all that. Well, it's not pretty, but I really don't think that the fish care that much as far as detail. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's fun to do. So
I'm gonna bring up, and he's posted. Oh my gosh, hey, I better ask as I'm saying this. So Ben Tesh, are you still in chat on the Fly Tackle? If you are, just give me a holler. I wanted to make a comment about that Goby jig head color. So if you say yes, then I'll proceed, but I'll wait to hear from you. So here's my thought on the colored heads.
Okay.
I do think 100% they catch the fishermen more than the fish.
Yeah.
Bri, I wanted to make some comments about use your there's a Goby head you have as an example. Is that okay to talk about? Sometimes you got to ask. You just never know.
Yeah,
you know,
some people have secrets. It's funny because a lot of the times I'll make like some special color or some kind of pattern or whatever, and I'll call up, you know, my buddy Big Sal or Andy or anybody or Big Ant, and I'll be like, hey man, I'm about to mention this color, man. I know that me and you came up with it and we haven't told anybody, but is it okay? And most of the time, man, they don't care. So, but hey, you got to ask.
So here, the reason I say that is because, you know, as I get older here, I start to forget, right? And I can't keep track. Sometimes I go, man, did I talk about that in private chat with somebody, or was that something that I observed in other areas? So here's what I'll say on the color of things. One, I think color matters in clear water sometimes.
Okay.
I definitely do.
I agree.
And the reason I wanted to ask on the fly tackle is because Brian makes a jig head that is a goby color that we'll call it goby. But and I may not even be describing right. And I think he's got pictures up on his page, and it's just on the fly tackle. That's the Instagram page. You should check it out. But the color, I don't even know if it's a glow. It looks like a milkish white with like brown modeling in it. And I think that when you start talking about some of those unique details like that, I really think that I think it makes a difference sometimes. I really do. And you guys know, I really, really do. And, you know, I mean, these smallmouth guys in clear water, okay. So Brian's saying, yeah, it does glow. So that's a whole nother thing. How many guys are introducing glow to their paint colors and heads? You know, I would like to play around with that more for some skirted jigs, right? Whether it be silicone or a tying material. But overall, I do think it's dark, light, shades thereof, unless you start talking about, like, I call them the cookies and creams, like the modelings and some things like that. Look at Nate. Nate says, I think head color matters 50% of the time. Nate, you are probably exactly right, brother. It matters half the time.
So what I was kind of talking about is making it like super fancy, you know, like airbrushing it and putting all these details. I do believe in head color, but for example, like this is one of my go-to perch swim jig colors. So I just put, it's like a watermelon pepper on top. I know it's kind of hard to see.
Sure,
and then I just put a little bit of new penny on the bottom.
Okay.
And to me, that's going to work just as good as if I airbrushed little lines on it and made it look like a perch, you know.
You're probably right. You're probably right. You know, it's kind of like, it would be kind of like making, you go to art class and they give you a canvas that's the size of a dime and tell you to go to work. You know,
right?
It's like, sure, you could do some finer details and stuff like that, I guess. But I mean, I do kind of agree with that. I think there's, when jig heads, how do I describe this? When jig styles become different in terms of their profile, like, let me give an example. If I'm talking about like I call them butter beans, you know, like a butter bean head, a little flatter on the sides. I don't know how to describe it. They look like a pancake. Not like the aspirin head. Yeah, but a little more elongated. They use them a lot, like for fluke jigs and stuff like that, and in freshwater.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I think that when you have those different colored sizes, the coloring and maybe some more detailing may change things as well. But you know, I with all that said, I definitely believe it catches all of us a little bit more. You know.
Okay. So that being said, and same type of thing. So like you have the freestyle jig, right?
My favorite.
Yeah, it's just all white, but that eye is to me, that's the best detail you can get. You know, just putting the eye on there. I can care less what color this is, and that eye is just there and it's all big. To me, that's more important than the color. I don't know. That's just me. Everybody has their own.
So when the reason that freestyle jig became one of my favorites is last summer, we're down in Florida And I caught everything. I made eighth. I even went down and made eighth. I mostly threw quarter down there. 99% of what I threw were quarter ounce. And I used some of my friends, jig heads, who makes it's Scott Mormon, SM Bucktail Jigs on Instagram. I used some of his jigs too, but I mostly threw a freestyle jig and mostly quarter, but some 1/8 ounce. And I was putting Gamakatsu 604s, 4-aughts, even in the 1/8 ounce.
Yeah.
And I was,
Woo!
no joke, Skimpy, I casted, my number one thing I threw was slick shiners, the
Nice,
dual mode slick shiners, and
awesome mold.
then I threw white gulp, I mean grubs, they're mullets. They call them swimming mullets, 4-inch mullets. And I put those things, it's basically a grub. That's what it is. And I fished that thing. This is what I caught on them: snook, mangrove snapper, trout, ladyfish, and I caught a tarpon, all on a freestyle jig. And I'm going to tell you something. I have the jig. I have the jig -1. Here, hold on. Let me grab it. Hold on. I'm not going far. I'm literally just walking across the room. Hold on. It's over here, I think. Oh, I thought it was. It's of course not there. Where is it? All right. I thought it was there. It's not there. I saved it. I retired the jig because it was I caught every fish except 2 fish on one jig. And the jig, at the end of the trip, one eye fell off. And it was a white freestyle jig, just like that. And I shouldn't say that because my kids caught, like other people caught some on some different colored jigs, but for me, it was that white one, and I retired it. But that freestyle jig, I oversized the eyes on it. I freaking love it, and but I will say this, leading up to the trip, Skimpy, I'm sitting there, making freestyle jigs absolutely sucks. It sucks. And you know why? Because here's the thing. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to make these jigs. Well, you're going on vacation, right? So you're thinking, this is the Mike Murphy story. I'm thinking, okay, well, I need to have everything that I want, and I want to make sure I have all this stuff. So I'm planning for all this stuff. So I probably made 200 plus jigs, but I got white. I like the robin's egg blue. I like the, what's the purplish colored one is a big one that I love too. The paint color. God, what's it called?
The purplish one? The what? Junebug?
No, super light.
Oh,
it's not candy purple. It's something completely different, like a light pinkish purple, lavender color.
I don't know.
I'll remember the name later. But I wanted to have a variety of different colored jigs, and I wanted to have them in 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce, and I made some other sizes too. Well, by the time you get done with it, I got racks of jigs. I've got 200 jigs that I'm and so you know me, I talk about Sally Hansen's my second wife, and I am slathering the shit out of these things with Sally Hansen's to keep over the eyes. I paint them, then I bake them. Then I take them out, and then I lather them up with Sally Hansen's over the eyes.
Yeah.
Putting eyes on, I say 200. There could have been 250, 300 jigs. Putting eyes on that many jigs sucks. There are so many steps to the process, but I'll tell you what, that is now my saltwater jig box. Like that's my Florida box. If I go to Florida, I got a box of jigs, but to make them, dude, it's a lot of work. Alewife, that is it. Alewife, guys, go order Alewife. I would say that might be, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's my favorite color of Protect paints, Alewife. It's freaking that good. If you use Alewife at all, Skimpy? No?
I have. Not a huge fan. I mean, I'm not knocking it. I mean, every color has its place.
You damn Tacoma boys.
Man, that watermelon pepper is probably the best color. Or what
You
is the?
you do like that color? It looks good, man.
Oh man, what's the other one? The Magic Cross, the blue Magic Craw,
The blue Magic Craw and the purple Magic
and
Craw.
the purple Magic Craw. But that blue Magic Craw, that is fire. But now I see him saying he wants to try the
PB&J.
PB&J. That color is probably going to be one of my go-tos, man, because
you didn't hesitate on saying that either the other night. You jumped right in when Brennan was on. You're like, I want to see that PB&J.
I mean, he kept on, I'm like, bring it out already, man. Start talking. I was excited for it because, he sent us some before, and I love that color. And I mean, PB&J, like I said, I like the browns, some purples, and, but anytime I'm using browns, the PB&J it's a fish catcher, man. PB&J is just a fish catcher, whether you're doing it in jigs or plastics. It's a fish catcher.
It's funny you say that because there are, it goes back to my thing. I do think that, everyone likes introduction of different colors, but my biggest jam, and you could tell this in different designers, whether they even really know that or not. Like I think people should think about the things they want to create, right? Like, so for me, my jam, I'll be honest with you, and some people have heard me say this before. I would give up I love bass. I'm a river rat. I would give it all up. I would give it all up if somebody told me I could go once a month for 1 day or 2 days and fish the salt. I would give up bass fishing 24 times a year. Yeah. And I would give up bass fishing. And I mean it. And
I live super close to salt water, and I don't ever do it, man. Bass guy.
Yeah, it's so profound.
Bass, way better. I don't know. It's just
me. The grass is always greener on the other side. And here I am, like I can't, I'm like, I'm a Chicago guy and my nickname's Cuda. Yeah. And I ain't nowhere near the salt. And these guys from some of these companies are looking at me like, what's this guy all about? I go, I'm about color, my man. I'm about color. Here, like Nate talks about it in chat, Pig Jigs 247. Nate likes a lot of different color. He is very, very particular about trying to match heads. And I'm not saying the exact same color, accentuating colors, things like that, but he's one of the best out there in terms of trying to match up head colors with skirt colors and making those colors flow. And he takes a lot of time doing that, and I give him credit for that. Like, you take guys like, well, I don't want to pigeonhole people. There are designers out there that I think have certain styles, and I don't want to say what I think those styles are, because I look at some people's stuff and I think they make a lot of browns and rusts and stuff like that. And if I told some of them that, they'd probably get mad at me thinking I was, but I do. I see their stuff and I see those colors sometimes, and I appreciate that. But like, my color profiles are different. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if I know what my color profiles are anymore. Like I said, if I was if you said brown or green, what are you picking, Skimpy? Brown or green pumpkin? What are you taking?
I mean, I'll green pumpkin.
See, that's green pumpkin isn't a good example.
If I had to choose, because me personally, and like I said, this is just me, I'll fish green pumpkin in stained or clear water.
So will I, dude.
Yeah. I'll fish brown and stained or clear water as well, but
see, now look at pumpkin. Hey, fishing the Southeast, you're just saying that because of your name, my man. You're just saying brown because that's your name. It's interesting because I think I don't know. I mean, I see that when I look at other designers, but I don't. Let's see. Fishing the Southeast. Tim Maynard's asking. Oh, look at Brian Schmidt, motor oil. See, Brian, that's the motor oil. Is that even, like, if you talk about colorants for like plastics?
Yeah, motor oil is awesome.
You're gonna get an amber, a greenish hue, a lot of different colors, man. Motor oil. I like motor oil, and for what it's worth, some person, like I'm making a distinction between green pumpkin and brown. I bet you there's plenty of people even in chat that can make the distinction and saying you put GP and brown together and they're in the same category. You get a flow of color between pumpkin seed, browns, green pumpkins, even shades of watermelons, all that stuff together. That's color flow, if you ask me. That's the heart of it. But I don't know, culprit. Yeah. Nate says the old culprit worms, right? I don't know, dude. I love the color stuff, man. I don't know what I'm going to play around with next. That tilapia is a new color. I'm going to at least play around with it. Hey, what did you think, Skimpy? What did you think of the color plum from CS Coatings?
Plum is actually, it's an interesting color because it's not necessarily purple, but it's not brown. It's kind of in the middle. I think you can do some awesome things with it. Like maybe make it like on the top, and like I was showing you that perch color, the top, and maybe put brown on the bottom or something. I don't know. But plum, I heard Brendan saying, "Oh man, don't sleep on plum, man. I was catching all those fish the other day on plum." So
plum, I don't know if I said the story on that stream or not, but like when when we got those paints, right?
Yeah.
What was it? It was plum, smoke purple,
and
what was the other one? Oh, it was mango magic.
Mango, yeah, which is awesome. I don't know why we haven't even talked about this, but
why are we talking about mango magic?
Yeah, it's an awesome color.
That might be one of the best colors. So when those came out, so it was smoke purple, mango magic, and plum, and we had them, right?
Yeah,
so we had the colors, and I'll never forget. I got a message from Max Bransick.
Yeah,
or we were talking back and forth, and whatever the conversation was, he's like, what do you think of plum? And I'm like, dude, I gotta be honest, I haven't even made anything with plum yet. He goes, are you crazy? And I'm thinking to myself, if you look at plum, guys, you undo the cap on it and you look at it, it looks like it is like this muted pink color.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I go, there is no way that I want to make any jigs this color.
Yeah.
I swear to God. And he told me that. He goes, Murph, are you kidding me? He goes, I can't believe you did. And I got to go make one. And I go and I sit there and I'm heating the jig up. I go, I'm not going to like this. I know it. I heat it up. I dip it in and I pull it out. I go, wow. It's like candy apple red with blue sparkle and flakes in it and stuff. And I go, this is dynamite, man. I was like, this, it reminds me of what's that color worm from Berkeley? Blue Fleck. I could see that being matched up with the old school Blue Fleck color from Berkeley. It was, I don't know. You know how it goes, dude. You just, there's things you like and sometimes you don't like. What is Westfall saying somewhere? Got lucky when they did that drop a while back. Yeah. Solid brown, purple's an accent color, Nate's saying. Guys, everyone's got different colors that they like and enjoy. I got to ask you about this. So tell me, how long after making your own jigs did it take you before you had, look at Sean. Sean says, plum is easy on the eyes. It's like we're talking about a lady here or something.
Yeah, exactly.
How long did it take after you started making jigs? All right, Nate, see you, brother. How long after you started making jigs did it take you to start modifying the molds or doing things differently?
Okay, so man,
you like to modify, dude. You do.
Well, yeah. I like to make it. I want to be able to make it. I'm trying to think. I think one of the first major mods, me and my buddy Big Ant, we did the poison tail jig, but we made it into a spinnerbait. We both loved spinnerbaits, and I had the spinnerbait mold, and we were making them, and I was just like, I mean, it's an okay spinnerbait. So then we were thinking, man, if we take that poison tail and make it into a spinnerbait, that's going to be awesome. So we did it. And I'll tell you right now that that's poison tail jig spinnerbait it stays in the boat. You know, it's awesome.
Okay.
And yeah, it's awesome to see now. I'm not saying I'm the first one to ever do it, but it's awesome to see now that a lot of people are doing that. So I've seen many different poison tail, what do you call it? Poison tail spinnerbaits.
So most of my modification, Skimpy, to be honest with you, and this is just for me, it hasn't been the super mods. Most of my mods have been to make the hooks that I want fit.
Yeah, that's a must. You know, especially if you got a specific type of hook you want. You know,
Right.
maybe the hook that it calls for is a little bit thinner, and you want a thicker one. So you got to take your Dremel and just very lightly open it up a little bit to accept the thicker hooks.
You've heard about my strategy for this, right?
Oh yeah. So
the adjuster.
It's your show, so you talk about it.
No, I mean, I think people have heard about it. Listen, I will tell you, he might not still be in chat, but did you, Debo? So I talked about the adjuster, right? And basically, I'll put the hook in the mold or the particular size that I want. And many of you have heard this. Some might not have. So I put the hook in the whatever size the jig head that I want to make. And it's got to be close. You can't be outlandishly different, because if it's outlandishly different, you gotta Dremel it out.
Right.
But if it's a little bit off and your mold's not closing right away, I put that in there and I close it up tight and I set it down, or a piece of wood or not. And I literally take a rubber mallet or even a hammer. I'll take a piece of wood and put a little piece of 2x4 and put it on top, and I just whack it. I call it the adjuster, because my mentor years ago used to call it the adjuster. Yeah. And so so the joke about that was funny. Well, I never laughed so hard. Debo did a video. Debo did a video. Debo's Fishing, for anyone wondering who I'm talking about, and he was making jigs. It's there. You got to go see it. Whatever he was making, he wanted to put a larger hook size in some flipping jigs that he wanted to make, and the different sizes, right? And so he did the adjuster, but he filmed it and he did it in slow motion with the piece of wood flying up in the air and everything else. It was priceless. I laughed. I almost felt like if there was if there's one thing anyone's ever done that should be like the intro to Mike Murphy, Barracuda, and like what I do, it should be that portion of the video from Debo with the adjuster. So I don't know, guys. Listen, here's the thing. There's a lot of ways. Like, people ask me all the time, and they know I'm a do it guy, right? But yet they'll say, "You ever think about making your own molds?" And I tell people, no, I never have. I don't have a need to, right?
Right.
Whatever I need to do, I can adjust. And if not, there's another mold that can get me close to what I want to do, or I can modify a mold to be to my liking, where I could still take it out of the mold, file it up a little bit, and be okay. If I was doing production molds or doing production level numbers, that would be a different story, because that's time. Right. And that's not what I do. I don't sell jigs. Skippy, you don't sell jigs. I mean, maybe nope. Your friends throw you a few bucks for something here or there, or materials or whatever, but buy some more plastisol or buy some more hooks or whatever.
Right. If I don't have it, then I say, just go buy it and we'll make it. So
yeah, I'm the same way. And you know what? And the funny thing is, my friends are they don't have anything to do with the making part. They just want to. They just want to have a sandwich bag delivered. And I said, just start the boat up. Take me fishing. Let's go. No, it all works out.
Most of my buddies, they'll make them themselves, and they want their custom stuff. And, I'll have one buddy come over and make some custom stuff. And another buddy will come over like, hey, what did he make? Don't worry about what he make. You make yours. Everybody has their secret colors and what they want. So it's fun.
I mean, Brendan's saying, you ever mix 2 powder paints together in a Ziploc bag? Maybe it'll get swirls. Yep. You can do that.
I've never gotten swirls, but
not swirls, right?
So I'll tell you right now. One time I was making swim jigs, and they were like a rainbow trout type color, and I needed a pink, and I didn't have any pink because y'all want to put a little bit of pink on the belly, and I didn't have any pink, so I put a little bit of white and a little bit of red and mixed it up and dipped it, and it came out pink. But there wasn't any swirls. It just pretty much came out pink.
I think what's the name of those gold mine, silver mine?
Yeah, copper mine, silver mine, gold mine. Those are actually pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, so there'll be people in chat that. So here's what I'm going to say: if you're interested in playing around, I'm going to make one comment on this and one comment only.
Okay.
If you're interested in playing around with colors and want to get some differing effects like that,
there you go.
Those three paints are one of the. They're not the key, but they're an ingredient to what you want to do, and it's a multi-stage process, and it's complicated. Like you look at stuff like Larry Hadley stuff, the angler. You've seen his stuff, right, Skimpy?
Yeah, for sure.
The angler, the bucktail heads and stuff. It's crazy, and they don't always turn out exactly how you want them. But I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with differing levels of heat and stuff like that. To me, I love those jigs. I'm actually gonna buy some. There are some bucktail jig designers out there that I really appreciate, and I believe that I'm probably going to support them a little bit before I go to Costa Rica next summer and buy a little bit from a couple of different guys, just because I like their stuff. Dead Reckoning Bucktails is a guy I really like. He's out in the East Coast. Obviously Larry Hadley. I'm a big fan of On the Fly. So I'm basically going to decide what I'm going to make myself and what I'm going to ask other people to make for me. And I think that, if there's guys that are small companies, and we should support each other to the extent that we can, and so, sure. I don't know, like I said, guys, if you ever wonder, somebody asked, actually, I'll bring this up. I use this show as my forum sometimes. Somebody had asked me, do I get any kickbacks from the people I have on the show? And the answer is a 100% a solid no. No, I don't have any deals that I cut with people I have on the show. I invite people on the show because I want to have them on, and that's it. And that's just how it is, And
I appreciate you having me on here, man. This is fun.
I mean, Skip, dude, listen, here's the thing. I appreciate, guys, I'll tell you something. I was doing things on my own. Like Skippy was like validation to me, right? Like there were things I've been doing for like lots of years. And like when you watch somebody's videos and you're like, oh man, they're doing some things that I'm doing, but yet you never knew each other. It's cool stuff,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, and minus the internet. I mean, how do you learn how to do all this stuff? All right. So so Will Junkin says, hold on. Let me scroll up. I don't want to miss anyone. Sean Titsworth, anyone play with the Stardust powder paint? Yeah. So
I haven't.
Trippy Sticks is saying that SDG just did a video with the Stardust. And one of the problems he had is the particles that are included in the paint for the Stardust, which was a Lurecraft powder paint that was recently bought by Barlow's. Or was it LPO, Lure Parts Online? I forgot which one.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, but Lurecraft was bought by Barlow's or LPO. I don't remember which one.
I think it was Barlow's. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
I think it was Barlow's. I might be wrong.
SDG tried to put it in a fluid bed, and it won't work in a fluid bed because the included particles that are in that paint. So
too heavy.
So the answer there is I haven't tried it, and I'll be honest with you. Here's the reason: because I have all the paints that I kind of need. There are a lot of companies out there, guys, with different, paints and all these other things. But, like I said, man, I talked about black, white, green pumpkin, maybe some chartreuse and maybe some purple. But besides that, I mean, I got all these other cool paint colors and I don't even make enough stuff with theirs, So I haven't, Sean, but people seem to like it. That's what I know. So some interesting effects. So yeah, definitely if you want to try it, by all means, but I just haven't used it myself. But check out Adam's video. He appreciates the support too. SDG, custom Lurecraft. So Carl, welcome, my lady. How are you? All right. So what else we got, Skip? Anything else coming out from Do It that you're kind of excited to play around with or mess around with?
The new Beetle.
The one I ripped in half.
Yeah, that's gonna be an awesome jig trailer, man. I'm excited to mess with that, even to punch with that. And man, that craw for the Ned rig, that thing is bananas, man. I think that's besides the new jig, that new Ned rig thing is holy smokes, man. I'm stupid excited for that thing, man.
Really?
I'm not even a big Ned rig guy, but I'm like, this is gonna turn me into a Ned rig guy.
So that backs up the comment that you made earlier when you were saying that you think it's going to replace the times. Well, let's talk you. Yes, times you would text
the Magnum. You're talking about the Magnum.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. I'm going to use that Beetle on one of the Magnums, and I'm going to punch with it.
Dude, I'm going to tell you guys. You guys haven't seen the hooks yet. Skimpy and I do have the hooks.
I don't have any blanks. I already poured the ones they sent me. I already poured. So I don't have
same with mine. We didn't get a lot of them, guys. We got enough to pour a few just to play around with. Right. And I'm talking like 10 of each size, right? But here's the thing. Those 3-aught and 4-aughts are stout.
They definitely are.
They are stout and they're nice. I don't know. They're just real nice hooks. Here's another thing. Let's throw this one out there. So for everyone that thought that the size 1 hook on the Midwest Finesse, the size 1 hook was too small. Now on the Magnum size, there's going to be 2-aught, 3-aught, and 4-aught. But on Victory site, I just saw Skimpy. What were we looking at? Doesn't it show they're going to have a 1-aught that's supposed to fit in the old Midwest Finesse, weedless Midwest Finesse mold.
Correct.
Which is going to be super cool.
Right.
So that kind of covers the gambit. So it's going to be 1 all the way up to, so you're going to be able to get 1. Well, obviously you're going to get 1 size 1 in. You're going to be able to get size 1-aught in the old weedless Midwest Finesse mold for the smaller sizes, which is great.
I think
I'm gonna do what you said. I'm gonna try and take the time to fish that instead of a Texas rig.
Right.
And just did you hear my comment? I said I feel good because I feel like I pulled out my box of 3.5-inch tubes already.
Yeah.
To see how it works. I think it's gonna be great. Yeah, shrink tubing. Yep. White whale, what's happening, buddy? That's the way to go. I used to heat shrink. I told people a while ago. Adam, I heard that from Adam back in the day, Adam Felder. Heat shrink. If you're looking, the link down below, I have an exact link to the exact 330 seconds, 100-foot roll that I get. There's other techniques to do besides putting the heat shrink on there. You can literally use your pliers or hemostats and pinch them. What do you do for your eyelets, Skimpy? What's your process for that?
Okay, so man, like I said, for the most part, unless it's those Neds, definitely fill it up. But for the most part, if you don't get it so hot, you're not going to get so much paint, and it's not going to fill the eyes. So,
great comment.
If it gets filled with paint, what I do is I take an old spinnerbait wire and I put it in a vise and I heat it up with the lighter and I just push it right through. That's what I do. I've always worried about if I didn't bake it after that. I mean, if you bake it and it's covered, man, you're kind of screwed.
You are done.
Right. But if you get it before you bake it, when you bake it, it's gonna smooth it out. Because if you don't smooth it out, you're worried about your line getting cut if there's a sharp edge on the paint or anything like that.
So I don't mind saying this, and I can't. Some of my favorite hacklers in the crowd tonight will certainly slap me around and make comments on this one, which is fine because it's all deserved. So I had, before we went up to Mille Lacs, the first couple of days of June, when I was getting everything ready and new stuff that I wanted to pour, I made some propeller baits or jigs and all this stuff I wanted to play around with and give to my friends. And so I went to pull out some Midwest finesse jigs. And I pulled them out and I look, I go, all right, I'm guesstimating. I go, all right, I think I have size 1 ounce hooks on there. I wanted a little bigger hook. And I'm like, this is perfect. But I looked at them and I go, when in the heck did I make these? Because these freaking things, I literally had about, I don't know, of 4 different sizes, I probably had about 60, 70 jigs made, right?
All right.
I'm looking at these things and I go, these are absolute garbage. These jigs are awful. I'm looking at them and I go, oh my God. I said, when did I make these? I should be ashamed of myself. I go, I can't even bring these with and give them to my friends. So what do I say? I tell myself, I go, let me go get the eye buster. I'm going to bust the eyes out on these and at least clean them up. And I'm like, 70 jigs? I'm going to clean the eyes out of them? Get out of here. So I start doing it. The paint's cracking. It's cracking down onto the head of the jig. Not a lot, a little. But the point is, here's the guy that talks about heat shrink tubing left and right. And I got these shit jigs. And I'm sitting there, I go, I can't even, I would fish them, but I go, I can't give these out to my friends. I said, I'm embarrassed. So you know what I did? You know what I did? I chipped them all off. And I realized what I did. I baked these damn things. I must have made them before I started using heat shrink tubing, and I had, and I must have baked them because it was so hard to get off. They were absolute garbage. And I was so mad. I threw them. I put them in a sandwich bag and I'm like, these things are going in the garbage can. I threw them out. I was that embarrassed. But hey, whatever. I'm not beyond fishing sloppy stuff sometimes, right? But in that case, I go, I am not doing it. I'm going up to Minnesota, big smallmouth, and I'm giving these jigs to friends or whoever wants them. I go, I am not handing these things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You know what, Sean? You learn a lot as you go, brother. And even when you think you got your game dialed in, there's times where you could always do better, know? So Big Sack, let's see what Big Sack is saying. He says he always tries to use the metal dental picks to clean the eye good with powder coating. Heat control goes a long way too. So reinforcing what Skimpy said.
Very important.
Yeah. Here's another thing, guys. A lot of guys, if you go on Do It Mold's forum, they have a little like a Tackle Talk forum that you could post on. If you go on that forum, there was just a thread on there the other day where the guys were talking about, hey, and I've heard this plenty of times before, when they go and heat their jig, rather than hold it on the shank of the hook or on the bend of the hook, when you heat it over the heat gun, they actually hold it on the eyelet, heat it up, turn it that way, and then dip it in that way. And just by holding it with a pair of pliers or hemostats, whatever they're using, it eliminates a lot of that paint from accumulating and closing off that eye. So, I mean, that's
that, and I haven't had that much luck. The hemostats or pliers, whatever you want to call them, end up just getting freaking caked.
You're saying the little eyelets on the smaller heads?
No. When you take the hemostats on the eye and you dip it in, your hemostats just get caked because you got to remember, they get hot too, and then paint gets on them.
That is true too.
But I mean, yes, it works, but
I like the little heat shrink tubing. I think it works good. If you get a little system down for yourself, my way of doing it is I throw it on the jig, I heat it up, I dip it. Right after I dip it, I have another when I'm holding, I use hemostats. When I'm holding the jig, I put the eyelet on, I heat it up, I dip it. Right after I dip it, I go over and I hold it over the heat gun, and I take a regular pair of pliers, I pick up with my other hand, I go over and I pinch the heat shrink and pull it right off there.
Yeah.
There's no waiting till later. I do it right away because when that heat shrink will pull off as that heat, the paint is still heated. It separates immediately. It doesn't pull off. Like sometimes guys will say that when you pull the heat shrink off, it'll pull a little bit of the paint off at the base of the eyelet. 99% of the time, those jigs are looking pristine. So I like that method. So I don't know. That's what I do. But I mean, look at Andrew fishing the 262. He says, I just never paint my Neds. He goes, he says, I do keep painted Neds in my boat for my pail because he won't use one that's not painted.
Yeah.
Your buddy's gonna have a bobber and a bait keeper eagle claw on if he doesn't watch himself.
You're catching more fishermen than fish, man. That's what it is, man. I'm telling you, the non-painted, it works. I mean, the funny thing is Do It Even sells a silver color.
I know.
And I'm like, why would I buy the silver color? I'll just leave it unpainted, right?
If you, and I'll say this about it, if you want the tilapia color is going to be like this too, and I haven't played around with it enough, but the smoke purple color has like a transparent, maybe a light gray to it, but it's almost clear with purple smoke.
Right.
So the reason I bring this up is because I like that color. I painted a whole bunch of Ned heads up with that color because I thought, well, black. I don't need to complicate it. Black. And I like that smoke purple. I really think it's a cool color. It just gives another little flash or bling.
It definitely.
I don't know. It's a cool color. Smoke purple is great. Andrew likes smoke purple. I'll tell you, Skimpy, what do you do for purple colors? What's your favorite?
PB&J if I'm doing purple.
Purple?
Yeah, if I'm sometimes if it's darker water, then I'll use June bug for the head. And if it's a little bit clear water, whatever, you want a little bit more natural colors, I'll do a brown for the head, and then I put a little bit of purple in the skirts. But
so listen,
PB&J, I don't know if it's just Washington, I don't know. PB&J works.
All right, so I'm gonna throw this out there, y'all. All right, so listen, I gotta do this because as we're talking right here, I'm gonna give a little tip on a color, and you can play around with it, and you decide what you think. But before I do that, I'm just gonna do a little public service announcement for Jig Squad. So here's the deal: if you're here tonight or you're listening on replay, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I don't talk about this enough. Everyone says, Murph, you got to tell them to subscribe and like it. Yeah, I don't care if you like the show. If you come here and you enjoy yourself, I don't care if you slap the like button. What I do care about, I would like to see you at least hit the subscribe button. I'll tell you why. I'm not concerned about numbers, but what I do want is I want you to be able to get notified when new shows are coming up. So generally, it's an every other Thursday schedule. But the thing is, on the YouTube pages, you guys, if I schedule a show and you go to the Jig Squad YouTube page, you won't see that show scheduled unless you're subscribed. You won't see that there's a show. And I post shows on Saturday for the next Thursday. So I post them 4+ days in advance because I want people to know when they are. But the thing is, if you're not subscribed, you're not going to know. If you're on Instagram, you'll know because I post it there.
Right.
But what I'm saying is subscribe so you at least get notified. Jig Squad is not a program that happens every Thursday. This is the third week in a row for us because we did an in-between week show, a special last week. But because it's every other week, I want you to get notified. So if you're not subscribed, I would appreciate it if you subscribe just so you're made aware of it. I'm concerned about one thing and one thing only. I want to build the Jig Squad community so that we are stronger together and we have more people that have a voice in our industry and our hobby. That's it. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. After I get back, I got a couple things coming up, and then once we get to the next show, I'll start talking about a few other things. But here's the color. So there's my public service amount. So here's a color. You could play around with this if you want. You can not play around if you want. Smoke purple with the new tilapia sprinkled over the top. I ain't saying anything else.
I'm gonna try it.
And you could play around. I'm just gonna say I haven't had it. I don't have it mastered yet, but I feel like there's some cool things because they're kind of big. They're basically similar in style. They're that clear, smoky color, and I just think I don't know. I just think you should play around with it. I just think it looks great, and you tell me. So if you get the new color Skimpy, you try it for sure, brother.
I'm going to, yeah.
But if you guys, yeah, you know, I mean, you got to play around with new things. The 3 colors so far, Skimpy, you like PB and J the best.
Yeah.
I like
that sprayed grass. Don't get me wrong, that sprayed grass is awesome. Sorry, man,
cool.
I got this like every time I move, there's like this thing on my face.
It's a little light. Do you have like a light coming in from outside?
I do, man. My door's half open, so I'm gonna hold on. I'll be right back.
You got it. Yeah, you still look good. We know it's you, Skimpy. We could still tell. Oh man, fishing the Southeast is bad. Good man. So Sean,
it's still there. Okay,
yeah,
it's me. It's just that's what it is.
Sean Tightsworth. Yes, they do make a smoke purple and ProTech. Yes, sir. And then one of their new colors is tilapia.
Correct.
So it's just something to play around. And you know, guys, listen, here's the thing. The cheapest thing that we could do for ourselves in this hobby is play around with paints. You know, like the paints are generally, I don't want to say they're cheap, but they're definitely not crazy expensive, you know. What does Tim say? I post a lot of jig porn daily on IG. I get lost looking at that stuff. You know, Tim, is Tim, you would not believe. Here's the thing, guys. There a lot of this industry is filled with a lot of talkers, and maybe I'm one of them. I don't know. But my game is my game, and no one doesn't know what my game is. Everyone's clear, and that's how it always is going to be with me. But I'm telling you something. I get messages from some people in this industry that you would think, oh my God, are you serious? And I'm not a fan struck type of person, but there are people that send me messages and are like, I just got done looking at your page for an hour and a half. And I go, well, then click on the people in the post. Those are the creators, you know? I don't know, guys. The Jig Squad Instagram is meant to inspire people. You know, somebody asked me to say, you think it's okay to repost people's stuff? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I do. Because Voodoo Ranger, there you go.
He was asking me what's my beer for the night. I'm a big Voodoo Ranger guy.
There you go.
Sorry.
No, you're good, Skimmy. Yes, I do. I do think Jig Squad is all about posting your pictures. And if you send me pictures and think that I'm just going to post, no, it doesn't go that way. I go and I look around, and depending on my mood for the day, I pick things out and I say, I'm going to post that. And that's how it goes. I'm not like some of these places where like you could send pictures in and I just repost them. Right. No, I want you to take nice pics, you know, take nice pics, set up your shots, make sure they're clear. Am I going to edit them? Am I going to switch them around? Of course I'm going to. But if they're blurry, I can't make your blurry and unblurry, you know? Right. I appreciate all the jig designers out there and everything you do. And to be honest with you, it's really not even about the Instagram. The Instagram is just to bring attention and get people's minds thinking about different things. Jig Squad is more about, you know, trying to do a little community and have an opportunity that we could talk. Anthony, who you talking to? Somebody in chat, probably, right? Is that me? I'm always in a purple mood. I am always in a purple mood. I do love purple. Like you guys could see when I get on a bucktail kick, like I start posting the saltwater guys. Look at Andrew. If you send anything to Kuda, make sure it's purple. Tacos.
Make sure
it's tacos.
Send tacos, man.
I'll tell you what, the send tacos comments are gone a little bit because somebody told me, they're like, Murph, you could block all those certain words. So when all the spammers try and spam you saying, send it to this or that. And I did that. And I don't get all these slaps on my page anymore. And
I kind of send tacos.
So now when I see somebody else's pages, somebody spamming them, I reply to those people. I'm like, send tacos, you know? Yeah. I mean, send tacos is a great little tagline on the side. Skimpy, dude, I'll tell you something, brother. I appreciate you tremendously. You've taught me a ton in this industry about jig making and just watching you. You're one of the original guys out there. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight, brother.
Man, I had a blast, man. Hopefully I was a good guest, man.
Dude, it was fun.
Yeah.
I think what I want to do is as we get into the winter and stuff like that, I want to get you on again.
Let's do it.
Talk about more things happening. it's funny because like I felt like this was kind of like about just getting to know the basics and about the simple things and how to like you're anyone watching in replay, or if you're here in chat, if you haven't seen Skimpy's videos, it's That Guy Skimpy on YouTube, and you're gonna know it's his page when you start hearing 1980s hip hop.
90s, 1990s, pretty much 90s. Hey, I'm an 80s baby, but I grew up in the 90s.
See, there you go. So Skimpy's got some great videos about modifying molds, crafting jigs. And we really, the industry owes a lot to him, or the jig makers owe a lot to him for putting a lot of stuff out there and being one of the first guys out there. I still think you and Small Jaw were two of the first.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I was a fan of Small Jaw from, I mean, when I was first starting too. I'm not sure exactly when he started, but
I think you were before him, dude.
Really?
I think I don't know. I have to go back and look at the
It must have been maybe around the same time.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen all these comments, man. I appreciate you guys all. And I see my boy Tag Watson. He says, "You the man, Skimp." Hey, that's the local celebrity right there. Tag Watson, what's up, brother?
TW360. What's up, brother?
He just won a huge tournament at Potholes. And hey, he's one of the local celebrities, man. And I talking to him on the phone and everything, I always get starstruck, man. And then, because I mean, like he used to make, or he still does, but he's like one of the first guys that I knew that started making his own jigs. And you know, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Like I can connect with him. I make my own jigs too. And
that's so great.
Big shout out to you, Tag. And I was on the phone with Tag last night and talking with him, and I told him, hey man, jump on here, man. Tag's definitely my guy, man.
That's awesome. I mean, you know, here's the thing: we all learn from each other, and I mean, the day you're a designer and you think you got it all figured out and you can't learn from other people is the day that you shouldn't be part of the community. That's just how it is, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Tag, hopefully you hang around, brother. We do shows like every 2 weeks, you know. So come in. It's always some jig maker, some painter, somebody doing something fancy, but it's all jigs. We talk a little bit about like maybe making some plastics and stuff, but it's 99% jigs. So
he's a jig maker, man.
It's the only show out there,
baby.
It's the only show out there, a live stream that I know that is all jigs. That's why it's unique. Tag, thanks for the sub, brother. You guys, I appreciate you. Skimpy is he means a lot to me, guys, and I don't mind telling people that I think he's one of the best in the business. So
dang, man, I appreciate you. Hey, you know what, Kuda? I'm not sure if anybody ever says this, but thank you for putting all this together, man. Because bro, man, I watch it every week, and I know that we talk on the phone, and I told you that sometimes I can't get live because you stupid East Coasters is I'm a couple of hours behind you.
Dude,
guys.
I'm Central. The East Coasters are worse.
Hey,
I'm only 2 hours off your game.
Hey, but still, I'm getting off work. I gotta rush home to check it, and like I told you before, I gotta get my son to soccer practice, my daughter to basketball practice. I run home, and then I don't get to see the first part live, and I always see the end live, man. So.
Yeah, I mean,
and I appreciate this, man. I try to tell everybody, anybody that's into, I mean, even if you're not even into jig making, you'll learn so many different things from Kuda and all his guests, like why they make it. And
if you like fishing a jig, and people should be part of the Jig Squad experience. And guys, I don't rattle.
Like, why you make it this way and everything, man. I love this thing, man. Hashtag Jig Squad all day, man.
Understand? Yes, everywhere you buy something, just throw Jig Squad in there. Just pretend it's a wall and it's 30 years ago, and you get to light it all up all over again. Exactly right. It's guys, you have to be able to have fun with this. There are people from the industry that I've talked to, and they're like, "We can't believe what you're doing. We don't even know what to think." I go, "Just keep watching, man. Jump in and just let it ride." And we're not about being right. We're just about being good. And we want everyone to be better, and we can all learn from each other. And we all learn a little bit from every designer, and we can agree, disagree, and in between, because there's lots of ways to skin a cat. And you know, that's what this is supposed to be about. You know, so I told Skimpy the other night, hey, Jig Squad started out as a hashtag, a joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke because, you know, I'm not going to go down the whole road again, but the reality is here we are, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're on Instagram, it's at Jig Squad. We're here on YouTube. If you can't see a show and you're away from it for a while and you're in the car and you want to listen to it on the podcast platforms, I move every show over to the podcast platforms now, so you hear the audio. I feel you miss out a little bit because we do a lot of visual things too. But nonetheless, it's available for all the people, and I think we're better off together and learn from each other. Skimpy, listen to this. Here's the next couple of people coming up on this show. Hold on.
Okay. Let me hear it.
I just gotta show you. So and I'm not saying everyone yet because there's going to be more coming.
Surprise guest? You got a surprise guest?
Well, so here's the people. All dates. A couple of these dates. The next 3 shows are all confirmed.
Okay.
The next show in September is going to be August 4th. Is going to be Cumberland Pro Lures.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen Cumberland Pro Lures, check them out on Instagram. They're the bee's knees. I love them. And then on the 18th of August, True South Custom Lures.
Okay.
Is coming on. These guys are beasts. They tie like crazy. And then on September 1st, I'm super excited about this one because he is one of the greatest designers in this entire country, and he could tell a story. Frank Scalish.
Okay.
Frank Scalish, who used to fish on the Pro Tour, he's coming on September 1st. I'm excited about that. Who are some other people we're talking to? I'm having conversations with. Well, I'm going to save those. Tennessee Custom Tackle, one of my guys. Okay. You got to check him out on Instagram. He had his page hacked. So he's starting over. So if you see me making a post of Tennessee Custom Tackle, send him some love. But we're going to get Luna on. Matt Luna said he's going to come on the show.
Shout out to Matt Luna.
And there's a couple others that I can't say yet. But the point is, guys,
man, big moves, man. You got some awesome stuff in the making, bro.
We just want to have a good time. We want to have people that have different opinions. We want to have people to be able to tell their story, and learn some different things. Yeah, Tim Maynard, Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
Yes, Uncle Frank, Big Frank, Mr. Bass Talk Live himself, Matt Panger's assistant, Mr. Frank Scalish. Yeah, he's coming on September 1st. So it's going to be a fun show. Frank is a tinkerer and a jig making fiend, and he always has been. And he airbrushes, he paints cranks, he does a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I'm really excited. So it's going to be fun. And guys, this is Jig Squad. So I appreciate the support. Pass the word on.
Yes, sir.
Subscribe if you haven't. Skimpy, we're going to get you back on this winter. Would you be interested in co-hosting any shows with me once we get to the winter and like doing a tag team co-host deal?
I mean, if you think I'm worthy of it, then man, yeah, you know me, man. I'm always willing to sit and talk.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. All right, guys, listen.
When's the Jig Squad flat bill coming out, man?
Dude, never.
What?
Never.
Damn it.
Come on, dude.
I should have do it.
You see this hat? You see that, Ben, brother? I'm never coming out. You get your flat bills from somebody else.
You already know me, man.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I was born and raised. I'm a Chicago boy, but we bend our bills, my man. I always laugh. You guys look like you're serving dinner on the front of that hat of yours. Like it's like a service tray, like you're walking out with your hat. Skimpy, by the way, the design and logo and what One Hundo is the name, right?
Okay, so One Hundo is my man. He's the one who takes care of all my merch and stuff.
Yes.
But my boy Brandon is the one who drew it up. I get made fun of all the time. You know, I rock the flat bill and stuff.
Dude,
and
it looks great.
Usually always a Mariners hat. Go M's right now. We doing awesome for any baseball fans out there. But anyways, man, I always wear the Mariners hat. So so there's an S on there, and we did it for like, you know, Skimpy or whatever, but it's pretty much a mean looking bass with the Mariners hat. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
It's a great logo. It's a great logo, Skim. All right, guys, listen. We're out of here. Skimpy, stay in chat here, brother, after I end this. You guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on Jig Squad. If you're watching on replay, check us out. If you're listening on podcast platform, we love you too. But that's a wrap for us tonight. We appreciate you all. Peace. We're out.
Appreciate everybody coming in.